run this shit like cardio. I'm just in the jam.
I spend in the club, while you hop in the bank. This is the new Norwegian bank, el latino gang. Está toda servieta, pero que en el closet tengo mucha grasa. Ya mudé la cuchipa dentro de casa, Cabrón, a ti no te conocen ni en plaza. El diablo me llama, pero Jesucristo me abraza. Guerrero como Eddie, que viva la raza, Me gustan boricua, me gustan cubana. Me gusta el acento de la colombiana. Como me ve el culo la dominicana. Lo rico que me chinga la venezolana. Andamos activos, perico, pim, pim. Billetes de 100 en el maletín. Que retumbe el bajo y Valentín, Aquí prohibido amar, dile charitín. Que me pico le tengo caritín. Yo llego a la disco y se forma el motín. Tengo el azúcar, tú que va medio y se fue de pecho como Ginny Luca. Te vamos a tumbar la peluca y arranca pa'l carajo, cabrón, que a ti no te va a pasar la boca. Mi teoría Valenciaga me reciben en la entrada. Para, sí, like a Lady Gaga. Y no te me hagas, que en cover de vivo tú has visto mi cara. No salgo de tu mente, donde quiera que hayas escuchado mi gente. Ya no soy high, soy como el testarosa. Soy el que se la vive y también el que la goza. Cosa es la cosa, a mí es la cosa. Es que mira sufre y el que toca goza. I said I like it like that. 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 I'm just in the jam.
Hey, good evening, guys. I think I turned my volume down on you guys. My bad. Can you guys hear me now? I turned down my music. Oh, wait. I don't like that song anyway. Anyway, I turned my volume down trying to turn my alerts down and then turned you guys down. So sorry. I always try to have you guys with the music and everything. I'll just get you all situated so I'm not all up in your face the whole time. Push it back some. There we go. Perfect. All right. How are you guys doing this evening? Hi, Core Version. Hi, Grandpa. Hi, Chelsea. Who else is on? Hey, guys. How you doing? Nice to see you this afternoon, this evening. I always say afternoon, and it's 8 p.m. So, good night to you. Hey, babe. Thanks for joining me. I don't think I pinned my topic. So, tonight I'm going to tell my story and why I got into this business, why I started this business, why I started to do the things that I started to do now. And I'm going to kind of give you guys some tips about making sure that your mind, when you're in the entrepreneurial mindset, is focused on entrepreneurial stuff. Okay, because I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like I said before, when I graduated high school, my standard for what I wanted in my life was two things. One, I wanted to earn a 6-figure income I didn't say six-figure income. I said $100,000 because it sounded great to me at the time, being 18 years old. And also, I wanted to make sure I worked for myself, because I don't listen to people well, and I didn't want to have a boss, because I just assumed, I knew deep down in my soul we weren't going to get along no matter who you were. Okay, if it wasn't me, we're not going to get along. And I have noticed that, and maybe it's just my bias, but I was the type of child, I was the rebel child. So I was the type of child where, like, my dad said, hey, make sure you're home at 6 o'clock, and I show up at 6:30, like, what you gonna do about it? You know? Which didn't work well for me, but that was just who I was. I'm not like that with my mom. I will just say that in case she watches this. I love you, Mom, and I definitely deeply respect you. See, that is exactly what that says up there, is respect. So, yeah, absolutely respect my mom. She has that death look, if you guys know what I mean. If you're a mother or you have that mom that just, you know, you're doing something, you're all playing around, and she just looks at you. And you're like, oh God, okay, I'm cool. You know, that was me. I responded to the death look. I didn't respond to, you know, whippings or, you know, or spankings or anything like that, or punishment. I responded to the look. So I don't know what it was. It was like a death look or something. I don't know. But anywho, so I just knew that when I was going to decide what I wanted to pursue in life, it was that. So I started kind of looking at careers and stuff that kind of focused on the least amount of supervision. You know, I figured federal supervision or state supervision was fine. Meaning if I had to get a state license or something like that, I was totally fine with it. But just the feeling of having a boss who has a boss who has a boss who has a boss always irked me. And yes, I did work jobs. Let me just start right there. It's not like I've always been this entrepreneur and everything like that. You know, I've always pretty much held a job. It's very easy for me to find a job, which is funny. My sister, who's on now, she actually told me that one of the things that I should teach as part of my business is to teach people how to get a job, because I'm actually currently a part-time business owner. You know, there's transparency right there. I'm not going to say I'm a guru. I'm such a beautiful entrepreneur. I am working a full-time job and working on my business so that I can get rid of the job and I can work on my business solely, because clearly after several years in the workforce, I realized, no, boo, this ain't for you. You need to work by yourself, okay? I have something called a 1-year itch, and most people like, oh my God, really? Like literally after a year or two or half a year at a job, I get like, I need to go. I can't do it. So I realized that I have to be true to myself, and I have to be honest with myself, and I have to say, you know what? I gotta go, and I gotta go for real this time. And that's why I wanted to be honest about my own struggle with my entrepreneurial mindset. And I always thought that because I wanted to be an entrepreneur, that automatically made me have the mindset of an entrepreneur. Because my grandfather, he's on here right now, he is an entrepreneur. He's actually one of the first entrepreneurs that I looked at in my life and realized, like, I can do this. Because ever since I was a little kid, I remembered Grandpa works for himself. And so for me, I always said, well, Grandpa's like the coolest person ever, so I want to work for myself. And my grandfather is from Jamaica. He actually has a money transfer company that I thought was the coolest thing ever, because I don't know how you get an idea for that and make it happen, but that's incredible. So I was just like, I so have to do something. Maybe not a money transfer business, but I want to figure out something. I want to create something that's my own, and that's competitive and just makes it so that I'm the boss. And maybe not even a boss of other people. I never thought about that. I just wanted to work for myself. So I always looked at that, and then I also realized a lot of other people in my family are entrepreneurs. Currently my father's an entrepreneur. That was a little frustrating growing up with him with the entrepreneurial mindset, because I didn't get it. I was just like, why don't you just get a job, dude? Like, I don't understand. Like, I wasn't in that mindset of, okay, I kind of get it. Still don't get it, but you know what? He's a serial entrepreneur. I kind of get it now, okay? The other thing, I can't see any of your notes because I'm sorry, guys. Hi, For all of you who just came on, I was scrolled all the way up at the top. I didn't even see you. Hi, Tiffany Nicole. I'm that mom they say feel. Yeah, exactly. All right. So I realized that my father's an entrepreneur. My uncle is an entrepreneur. My grandmother's an entrepreneur. My cousins are entrepreneurs, and they're jacks of all trade. I don't mean to say this in any sort of derogatory way, but if you know Jamaicans, 9 times out of 10, they're jacks of all trades. They know how to do everything. I have a cousin who is a DJ. He's a photographer. He knows how to fix cars and trucks. He knows how to cook and clean since he was a young child. He knew how to do these things. And he is just like, I mean, it's like if he has an idea, he's going to go do it. And that's what I like. And that was the part of the entrepreneurial spirit that I was missing. I had this spirit of, I don't want to work for anybody else. But what I didn't realize, and as I did some soul searching and working on myself, I also understood that I also had a problem with working for myself. I actually understood and realized that truly what it was is I had this sense and idea that I wanted freedom, but I wasn't looking at it as I wanted freedom as to work for myself and, I get to, call the shots and everything. I kind of realized that I wanted freedom from doing anything, apparently. And the few times that I actually, was in between a job, or I let myself go from a job, or they let me go, or whatever the case is, I had moments where I was saying, okay, I can do this. And although I had the idea for it, I truly didn't have the mindset for it. And I had I just thought about this now. I actually had a misconstrued idea of what a mindset for something was versus, just an idea. And so I had this great idea of, illusions of grandeur. I know that's not what it's called, but that's my term for it because I can't think of the cliche term for it. Or maybe it's illusion of, whatever. Doesn't matter. So I actually, I realized that I had the wrong idea of what being an entrepreneur was and what freedom was. And so pretty much what I understood after I kind of dug into it is that I had this idea that being an entrepreneur was just having this laid back, sexy life, like you're just laying back by the pool, sipping Mai Tais and, having fun. You're traveling all over the place. You see people with the laptop lifestyle, they're at Starbucks in the morning, sipping on some, coffee, and they're just typing away on their computer, just somehow making money. And, and they're off on these trips and all of these things. I'm sitting here thinking that this is what it means to be an entrepreneur. Oh no, boo-boo. I was totally wrong, apparently. Obviously, okay? So, let me see. So I wrote down notes about my... Okay, all right. So, so what I understood is that I needed to kind of fix what it is that I thought was an entrepreneurial mindset and what I thought was being an entrepreneur, because I realized very quickly I was not getting results. And I actually kind of stepped away from everything. Like I told you guys last night, I worked in financial services. I worked in network marketing. I wanted to be a personal business owner, kind of like, branded, Monica Rose Smith branded. And pretty much what I realized is I was kind of feeling overwhelmed. I was struggling with the way that I was handling my money. I was struggling with the way that I was thinking about myself. I had so many years of wanting to do something and not really knowing how to pursue it properly, and then having this fear keeping me away from it, but yet this passion and this desire to want to push towards it, and there was this conflict all the time. It's like every time, it's like part of me was pushing back, the other part was pushing forward, so it was like this all the time. I was just beating myself into a pulp pretty much. I wasn't getting anywhere. And so what I realized was, okay, I have to do something to figure this out. And what I decided to do was I decided to step away from everything. And the only thing I kept was a full-time job because I wanted to obviously earn income. So, and I wasn't thinking about the other ways. And I felt that I was so negative in my mind and misconstrued in the way that I was thinking that it was best to step away from everything before I caused it to be something where I just decided I was overwhelmed and just gave up on, which technically that's exactly what happened. But I decided to gracefully bow away, step back from everything, and kind of take in my life and say, where is it that I'm really trying to go? What is it that I'm actually trying to do with my life? And where do I see myself in a few years? Because I always said that I was a person who had goals and things like that. But I really think that I did have illusions of grandeur. And I don't really think I necessarily had goals and stuff. I had dreams, definitely. It was definitely a big dream. I've always been a big dreamer. But I didn't put them into goals. I didn't put them into a plan. I didn't put them into action steps. And so this was back in 2016. Okay, like I said, this whole everything that I'm doing is very new. But the way that I worked my way through it is pretty much kind of like the basis of the program that I'm offering. And what it is that I am doing with my business is the same process that I put myself through. I want to teach other people to do the exact same thing. Because a lot of times, even while we're in business, we can be focused on something and then we never take time to look back at the big picture and say, what's going on? Where are the parts in this and where do I fit in this? And then tackle it, where we need to actually tackle it, okay? So one thing I looked at when I was just solely working a job is I looked at who am I being here and why am I doing so well here? But then when I translate into the entrepreneurial side, I'm not. It's like the same delivery wasn't happening. And what I realized is I had a huge amount of confidence and almost arrogance when it came to working a job, okay? And it's part of what I teach or what I talk about when I give people quick advice about business, because I mean, working a career, I really never have career coached anyone specifically, which is funny because that actually was when I did assessments of what I should do in life. The first thing that popped up was you should be a career coach. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. And as a 19-year-old, that didn't sound sexy enough. So I was like, I'm not doing that. But now I realized I could do that. So one thing I realized was when I was at work, like just coming in from an interview, I had the mindset when I go into an interview that this place needs to offer me something good. Otherwise, I'm going somewhere else because anybody can pay me a paycheck. That's how I looked at a job. I also looked at a job was when I went into an interview, I told them what I could offer them, but I wanted to know what as a company can you offer me? Is there longevity here? Is there room for advancement here? Am I going to be part of a team or, what's going on here? Like, I really want to understand what the situation is here. And I had this air about me that said that I don't need to work for you. I came here and I would like to work for you, but I could go somewhere else. And for some reason, that was always my stance where I wanted to take a job. It was just, I don't have to be here. Why do you need me here? And why should I stay here? And that's pretty much how I handled it. But when I worked a business, for some reason, that level of confidence, that level of expertise, that idea, that creativity, that tenacity, that persistence, I always like to solve problems. So my brain's always working a million different ways. And then when it rolled into being a business owner or being in network marketing or anything, I just kind of got stuck. I took myself off of, say for instance, I took myself off of the 10th rung of the ladder and tossed myself all the way on the ground and said, I don't know what to do. It was just like, it was two different people. At work, I was like a beast. And then I was like, I don't know, like a slothy lamb. I don't know what to explain it as, but it was just like, I really want to do something here, but I put myself in such a back pocket that I just felt like I couldn't get out of it. I felt so stuck. I felt so lost. I felt kind of like I see all these people doing these great things. You see people online and on Instagram and in network marketing companies, you see all the leaders earning all these high incomes and doing so well. And you're just like, yeah, I think I can do that. That's what you say. But in the inside, you're like, I mean, yeah, it's possible. But really, is it really possible for me? And so what I understood was, what I really understood was that working for someone else to an extent is totally different from working for yourself. And the way that I understood that is I started to kind of analyze what's actually happening here. And not to belittle a job. If for some reason you have a job, you love your job, that's fine. But what I understood was that when it comes to a job, I'm getting paid for a position. Okay? And the position pays this much, and if I get hired, they're going to take me, place me into that position, and they're paying that position. Okay, there's, over time I can get, merit raises. I may be able to move to a different position that pays a certain amount, but then I'm going to go and I'm in that box of that position, and that's where I'm at. And so the pay grade is going to be based off of that position. So it's like I was doing all of these things, putting all this effort in, and I'm getting paid for that position. Okay. So what I understood was then when I go over to being an entrepreneur, I'm not getting paid for a position. I'm getting paid for the results, okay? And I may or may not be part of a team. I may or may not be part of, a collective effort and things like that. So whatever I put in, I'm going to get out. And what I realized was that actually at my job, as much confidence as I had, as much creativity as I had, I was doing what the position required. I was not really doing much more than that. I was not going above and beyond all the time. There were bouts and spurts where I would, but like I said, I don't like working for other people, things like that. So that is going to affect the way that I'm working. And I understood that, what? I'm a pro over here at doing what it is that these people are telling me to do. And then I understood in business, I was a novice at doing what it is that I was expected to do of myself. As a matter of fact, I didn't really feel that I had a particular expectation of myself. I learned what I needed to learn, but it's the same thing as I go to a job and I get trained and learn what I need to learn. But then when you go to a job, they give you a set of tasks to execute. And for myself, I had to assign those tasks. And so there was a disconnect with me telling myself what I needed to do and not and doing what someone else was telling me in a job. So I understood as much as I wanted to be an entrepreneur, that true entrepreneurial mindset of I do whatever it takes, it wasn't there. I actually remember hearing a saying once where someone was an entrepreneur and they said, oh, so what's your position? Like, what role do you play in your business? And, it's just like, oh, so like, what do you do in your business? Whatever it takes. Do you do accounting? Do you do, the recruiting? Do you do, the operations, the marketing? No, I do whatever it takes. And I did not have that within myself at the time. I was misconstrued about what that took. And I felt that being an entrepreneur should be so easy for whatever reason. And working at a job was so easy that I was not meeting the job or the business where I needed to meet it at. I was like meeting it here and I needed to be up here. So what I understood was there's a gap. So the reason I pushed everything away is I said, look, right now, I'm operating in my life at probably a level 2. And maybe that's a little unfair for myself, and everything like that. But I wanted to give myself room to grow and really understand I need to put in work. So I said, I'm operating at like a level 2. And Monica, you need to be on a level 10 or 20 if you want to be an entrepreneur, because it takes that much from you. You have to become something if you want to actually be there. So I decided that what I wanted to do was first I needed to accept the responsibility for where I was. Okay, so that's why I pulled myself back and I said, you know what, you need to actually look at what it is that you're doing. And you need to figure out where it is you're trying to go and go there. Okay? And you need to become the person that you're trying to be. And it's funny that I say that because there was actually a mentor of mine who said that, like, you have to be the woman that you want to become. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks. That's great advice. And then to myself, I'm like, how am I supposed to be who I'm supposed to become? And I don't know how to do that. I'm here and she's here. Like, how do I do that? And really what it takes is, it really takes some persistence. It takes a mindset change, an attitude change, and it takes work ethic. And that was truly the problem that I had, is that I understood that I had no work ethic. And, you know, you can say, okay, well, you know, you work, you get jobs, you're able to keep those jobs and everything. And I will say, for the bare minimums, I had work ethic. But when it comes to what is required to be an entrepreneur and all of, I mean, there's a lot, okay? I'm learning that now. I thought that I was building up the mindset when I was doing all of the personal work and everything like that. But again, I realized I had to put myself into it to actually do that, because I'm building my personal business brand, Elevate Your Empire, Monica Rose Smith, LLC, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I'm also, along with my brother and sister, building a food business. We're building an event planning and catering business. And oh my God, both of these beasts are coming at me at the same time. And I'm just like, oh my God, I didn't know it took so much. Like, you feel like there's giants around you and you're like, oh my God, what did I sign up for? But it is the best lessons that I'm learning on a daily basis. Like, I can't, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like a DJ, you know, has the turntables, and you have to keep scratching them. And I realize that if I leave one alone and I'm scratching this one's just gonna keep playing and playing and playing, and I gotta get back and forth. That's the easiest picture I could think of in my head, is that, you know, or maybe if you have faucets running and you have a pot under it or a cup under it and you're filling both of them up at the same time, if you focus on this one, that cup's gonna overflow, and then you gotta, you know, pour it out and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. You're just trying to do the balancing acts and trying to understand how both businesses work is a lot, but it's also bringing out this person that I need to come out. I need the multitasker to come back out. I need the person who keeps understanding that there's still more work to do. It's not like oh, well, look, I got a presentation done today. Oh, I can take the rest of the week off. No, sweetheart. You need to finish the presentation, finish the sales funnel, finish a lot, okay? And the work is never done. So even though you finish these tasks, you still have a lot more to do. And so that is what I'm building up in myself, is the tenacity and everything like that. Okay? So what I said was that I needed to use I needed to become a better person. So I needed to understand that I can use the skills that I have. That's another thing. I don't know. Hold on. This ain't making sense. Sorry, y'all. When I take notes, I like them to make sense to me, and I feel like it just kind of jumped into a spot that I thought I was at and I wasn't. So I was getting paid exactly what I deserved at the time. When I accepted that, I took responsibility for who I was and not just what I was doing, and decided to live a better life, I needed to become a better person. Okay, that's where I was trying to go with that. I'm like, that made no sense. So what I decided that I needed to do is I needed to use my speaking skills, my writing skills, my storytelling skills, my humor, my personality, but instead of using it for a company, I needed to use it for me, along with the work ethic that I needed to build. And I needed to own my dreams and own the she I wanted to be. That's what I was just talking about. So I'm catching up to my notes. I told y'all, I write notes and then I go off on rambles and I have to catch myself. Okay. So the first thing, these are the points that I want you to take notes on. Okay, so the first thing that I needed to do for this entrepreneurial mindset is, first, I needed to decide on and own who I am. Not who I want to become, who I am. See, that is the first lesson that I learned, and how I really started to understand, where they say that you have to act as though what is not is already is. I know that's a totally wrong way to say what it is, but basically you have to act like you are who it is that you're trying to become. So instead of saying I'm going to, like I said with affirmations, instead of I'm going to, or I will, or I can, those are possibilities and perpetuating things out into the future. You have to say I am. And so I had to say I am a business coach. I am a motivational speaker. I am a success coach. I am an entrepreneur, and I have work ethic. because that for me was something that I really struggled with, was the work ethic part. I thought I had work ethic until I needed to work for myself, because going to a job a lot of times, and I mean, some people have positions and careers where it's a little bit different, where you got to burn the midnight oil and stay until you get a task done. But for me, the jobs and positions that I've had in my lifetime have basically been, you know, it's an hourly thing. Like, you go there for your 8 hours, you get what you can get done during that time, and you come back the next day to continue what it is that you had not finished from the day before, or you have a new set of tasks that you do that day. You know, for a period of time I was working in call centers. God, I will never work in a call center again. Anyway, and you make your phone calls, and at the end of the day, you take your last phone call, you get off, you log off, and then you start another day with the new set of people. You know, there was nothing that was like, okay, I'm doing this part and this part and this part, and after a month, this whole project is done. You know, I started to kind of get into that at one place I worked at in Orlando, but I really didn't push into that much. Okay, so the next thing is that you have to put in the work required. That is the work ethic part, where not only putting in the work required for a period of time, but putting in the work required that's needed to get a task done and get it functional and deliverable to the public. Okay, that's where my work ethic came in, because I basically, when I worked at jobs, I pretty much was a part of a whole system. And now I had to pull out, and as being a business owner, I am the system. I have the whole system. You know, like if you're working on an online business, I am not just the landing page. I'm not just the Instagram post and whatever. I am the Instagram post, the link in the bio, the space, the link tree. I am the landing page and the opt-in and the freebie and the emails and the webinars and I am everything. I'm the CRM at the end of the day. I'm the one doing the processing of the payments. I am the whole picture. And yes, when it gets overwhelming, you can hire other people and everything. But again, even when you hire other people, you are still the whole system. And you have to keep yourself accountable for what it is that you're trying to do. So I understood that I had to build my work ethic to make sure that it fit where I was trying to go. Because if I didn't, the only person I was stifling at that point was myself. Hi, Patricia. Thanks for joining me. So the next thing that I realized I had to do in order for me to get the work required done is when I needed to set a schedule. And not just a schedule of what it is that I had to do in the work, but I also had to make sure that I included rest times. I have to include education times, and I also have to include execution times. Like, what am I actually trying to do? So maybe I can take time and say, oh, I'm gonna write down my goals and planning and stuff. See, that is a lot of times where I was stuck. I was stuck in planning mode instead of being in execution mode, and it's unnecessary. Well, it is necessary, but you're gonna get nowhere. It's gonna be futile if you're not actually doing something with that planning. Okay, so I had to kind of do that. So where I started at first was just 2 or 3 hours a week, and you're like, that's not a lot to build your business, but at the time, that's all I had. Or at least that's all I thought I had, because then I was able to push into 10 and sometimes 15 and 20 hours a week I can allocate, because sometimes, like for instance, today's Friday night, tomorrow is Saturday. I have 5 or 6 hours allotted. I'm taking, it's not a full work day, but I'm taking mostly a full work day in order to work on my business. Okay. Not including the live stream that I'm going to be doing, which last Saturday was 2 hours. Was it 2 hours? No, that was sometime this week when I had to extend. Anywho, so I had to figure out a work schedule that worked for me to be able to get the work that I need to get done, because again, I am the whole system. I can't falter on, different parts and stuff. And I noticed, like, even in this season, how certain things were falling by the wayside. Like, I've been focused on Instagram and my content so much that certain things have been faltering. Like, for instance, this week, my promotions for my live streams have kind of been faltering. And I you know, I was like, oh, well, you know, I'll get to it. But I realized I was doing things at the last minute. So I need to take some time on Saturday and prepare myself for the week coming up. I need to make sure that I have my stuff for Facebook. I completely ignored Facebook this entire time that I've been doing an Instagram live, and I have 3 pages over there that I need to get together. I have a Facebook group and 2 pages that I need to fix, and I've just let them go by the wayside. My email list, I need to work on my email list, get it fine-tuned. I have a few issues that I need to correct, and so I realized as a business I need to write down the task at hand, and I need to give myself time to work on each. Because again, just like I said with the cups under the faucet, if I have 2 cups under 2 faucets and I step away and whatever, something's going to overflow. And when it overflows, you have to, as an entrepreneur, not say, oh my God, it's overflowing, what do I do? And just say, I'm done with it. You have to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? I have to set up a system in place to maybe automatically dump this cup out and keep it flowing into this cup so it doesn't overflow, if that's my purpose. So I had to focus on those things and kind of get those things in order, okay? The next thing is you also want to make sure you get help. You get a coach. Invest in yourself. There are so many people out here on the internet who are willing to help you. Some of them free, some of them at cost. But you have to understand that everything comes with a price tag. So maybe they can help you to a certain extent for free, or to a certain extent for a lower price, but at some point you may have to actually invest in a coach, or invest in a mindset mentor, or whatever the case is. You have to invest in yourself, and it may be a program, a mentorship, coaching, maybe a done for you process where you say, hey, here is my sales funnel, do it for me. Or you may say, I want to know every single step of this, please help me do this. So it's up to you, but make sure that you invest in your business monetarily and time to make sure that you get what it is that you need to get done in your business. Also, let me see. Make sure it's not over what is practical for your business. Like I said, don't in the beginning. A $2,000 program might not make sense for you, but maybe you can find someone who can offer you a $200 program. So do some shopping, do some searching around, find what's practical and what makes sense for you, but make sure it's not going to make you go broke before you've even made any income. Okay. So, that's the other thing. Make sure that it makes sense for you. All right. The next thing that I had to do is I had to understand that I had to do the intangibles, but I don't need to get stuck on the intangibles. And for me, intangibles, what that means is like setting your goals, planning, doing affirmations, working on the spiritual work. Like I have a mentor, and basically she's like, you need to work your business in the physical. But before you work in the physical, you also need to work on it in the spiritual. And the spiritual for me personally, and for her, what she was talking about, is through prayer, through meditation, through journaling, through scripting, through visualizing, law of attraction. All those kinds of things come together to get you the clear picture of what it is that you want in your business. But once you decide and once you understand what it is that you want, you need to do something. So say for instance, we have October, okay? I know the first 5 days have already passed in October, but if you look and you say there's a 30-day month, 31-day month in October, the 1st through the 5th, those first 5 days could have been a time that's when you are planning. Now, personally for me, I think that you should plan before the month starts, but let's just say you didn't, and this is the first start of it, okay? Matter of fact, let's bring it to today, because those 5 days are gone. We can't bring them back, okay? So let's say now, today's the 5th, you have 30, obviously not, 26 days left in the month, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'll double check. But I think it's 26. So let's say you have 26 days left in the month, okay? I think that maybe you could take the next 4 days and plan out the rest of the month and what it is that you're doing. You could take Saturday and Sunday, it's the weekend, take some time and figure it out. Also take Monday and Tuesday and figure it out. And then you can start to work. Sorry, I'm getting late and tired for some reason. I don't feel tired, but apparently my body wants to yawn. So you can you can take those 4 days to plan the rest of those 21 days. And that's actually perfect, because how long does it take a habit to form? 20 to 30 days, or 21 to 30 days. So you could take that time and plan something out and kind of get a flow going on for those next 3 weeks, for the year, and maybe for the rest of the time it can actually build up. Hi, Boss Maid Babe. Thanks for joining me. So when you're looking at it, you can take your goal planning, your affirmation, your mindset and stuff. But at some point, once you're done doing all of the mental work, you have to start working on the physical work. And that's when your work ethic and your drive and your persistence and your consistency comes into place. And you need to have some planning. So one great thing if you're doing an online business is to, during those 4 days, maybe set up a content planner. What are you going to post? What is going to be your norm? You know, don't post 10 Instagram posts or 10 Instagram stories in one day and then leave it alone for 6 days straight. You know, don't do that. Maybe set it up to where you say, okay, I have these 10 posts. I'm going to post 2 of them a day for a week. Sorry, guys. It's really cold in my house. And when it's cold, I get very sleepy and stuffy. So, one sec. I'm going to try to turn my AC down. Got a remote for it. Turn it down. Thank you. Okay. To turn it down because getting stuffy and sleepy from the AC being on. Whew, okay. Get a little drink of water, guys. Whew. All right. So, once you start working on everything that you need to do, the first thing that you want to do while you're planning on what you're doing, and also when you're executing, is you want to make sure for your business you build a strong foundation. Because once you build a strong foundation, you won't have to spend so much time planning. You won't have to spend so much time going back and doing so much. You can kind of just fill in the blanks. You can kind of look at the entire picture of your business and just kind of tweak things here and tweak things there, and just kind of like, you know, go in there and like little, just like spot shine some things and make sure everything's working together. So what I mean by setting up a great foundation is, first you want to set up your products and everything that you're offering. Just like I said yesterday, for your profit focused productivity, is you want to set up a great foundation. Okay, so you want to set up your products and your services, set up your pricing tiers, set up your systems that you want to have in place, and make sure that you set up something that is rinse and repeat. You know, if for instance, I set up a course and it's how to do such and such, and I have 5 points, and once I have those 5 points, maybe I have an offer or something. Once I set up a sales funnel, then I should be able to pull all of those unique pieces of it, like my tripwire, what I'm offering for, you know, my outline of my e-course and things like that. I should be able to pull all that stuff off and then start off fresh. It's almost like if you have, let me think how I can say this that makes sense. Okay, say you've drawn something in pen. Okay, well, you can't erase what you drew in pen, right? So then maybe the details of each thing, you're going to pencil in things, right? You're going to pencil in the pieces, like, okay, I'm going to pencil in that this e-course is going to be about mindset, and I'm going to pencil in these 5 points for this e-course, and I'm going to pencil in this workbook that I'm going to do, and I'm going to pencil in, you know, all these different components of it, and then at the end of it, when I'm done, I'm going to erase everything. But the structure is still there. The 5 points, the title, the tripwire, your workbook, the structure and how you're going to set everything up is still there. But all you need to do is just rinse or erase and then repeat. So now I'm going to have a work course. This e-course is going to be about dieting. And I'm going to put in the 5 points of dieting and the exercises and what you need to do. And I'm going to fill it in with those things. That's what it means to have a rinse and repeat system. Okay? So you want to have that, and you also want to have automated systems. Automated systems are just great. That's when you have things like ConvertKit, which is an automated email system. You want to set up something where like you have a Trello or Zapier, I think it is pronounced. I don't know. I'll type it in real quick. You have ConvertKit. You have Trello. And then you have Zapier. Zapier. I don't know how you pronounce it, but that's what I say. Okay, those are good things to help you to automate things. Another good one that you can use, it's for teams, but I use it for me personally, and I use it on G Suite for Google, is Asana. Asana is great because you can actually set up the different things that you want to include in your tasks. So that helps me stay on task. So I have my calendar in Asana. So like if I wake up tomorrow, my Asana is going to tell me that, okay, you need to work on module 1 for this. You need to work on finishing up this workbook. You need to record some audio for this program. You need to download 3 more of your live streams onto Vimeo or whatever it is that you're doing. You have it there. And so you have the big picture overall, but you've broken it down into steps per day and everything so that you can eventually get everything done. And then you can also show when things are completed because you finished all the tasks that you need to do. So those are great things to do because it just makes it easier for you. You're not stressing out and saying, oh my God, I need to do this. I still need to do this. And I know I'm forgetting something, because I'm that person. I know I'm forgetting something and I don't know what it is I'm forgetting. And so once I decide I want to do something, I'm going to put it into Asana. I'm going to break it down into the steps so that it's already there. So I know I'm working on everything I need to work on. Okay. So that's a great way to do it. And then also what you want to do is you want to build your business so that you can create what I like to call, or I think everybody calls it this, the Disney experience. Okay. Now I live in South Florida, in West Palm Beach, South Florida. And, but I lived in Orlando. My sister and my brother live up there. And obviously you all know about the little mouse. Okay. And the reason that you talk about a Disney experience is when you go there, the purpose of Disney, they want to transport you into a brand new world. That's why you have like you have Hollywood Studios, and then you have Animal Kingdom, and you have Magic Kingdom. You have Epcot, that has all the different worlds and stuff. There's themes, and when you go there, everybody's dressed a certain way when you go there, and things like that. And they may even be speaking with a certain accent, and they have this experience for you. It's like outer worldly. So, last year for our, my husband and I, we've been married 2 years now, but last year for our first year anniversary, we said, I don't care how silly it seems, we're going to Disney. And we did. And I mean, from the smell that they offer, like when you walked into our hotel, the lobby to me smelled like orangecicles. Like, the orange and vanilla ice cream little bars. That's what it smelled like. Oh, it smelled heavenly. Everything was just they had these little magic bands that kind of just, you didn't have to have a card. That was your money. That was everything. Reservations, how you got around, all of the souvenirs, everything was an experience. And it's very memorable. And then also the way that people treated you was an experience too. I didn't have anybody, maybe they felt that way, I don't know, but I didn't have anybody who was walking by where they felt like, oh my God, they don't want to be here. And then even when I was leaving, I was getting emails about stuff. I was getting people still just treating me the same way out on the way to my car. When we got back to our hotel, everywhere. I mean, it was like when you went to Disney, you were in Disney and you were in there for good. And so there was just this thing about it that made it amazing. So for your business, you want to have that. You want to create this customer experience for your clients and even people that you collaborate with and stuff that say, oh my God, working with Monica was just so incredible. It was just so good. Okay. So the few things that I wrote down about that, it was always giving a yes. And I'm not saying you need to be a yes man or a yes woman and say yes to everything that someone has, but you need to be open to the possibilities of things. So if you say, for instance, you've never written an ebook, and someone says, you know what, this course that you have is really great, and I would love to, if you wrote a book or an ebook about it, consider it. Okay, don't say, well, I don't write books. I do webinars. Like, no, think about it. Like, what if you could maybe take 5 or 6 of your webinars and, and actually write a book? And maybe you say, you know what, I'm not good at writing. One of my greatest mentors that I have, one of my close, best mentors, and I'd say the one that has the most impact on me, she writes books, but she doesn't write books. She speaks out her books. She presses record audio on her cell phone, and she records hours on end, and not at one sitting. Over time, she'll think of a topic, whatever, and she'll record these things. And what she does is she'll go back through the audios and listen to them and stuff like that, or she already has them labeled, and she will take a set of them and send them off to somebody, usually on like Upwork.com or something like that. Pay somebody $100 to transcribe, hours, like 10 hours of her just speaking on different topics and stuff. Print it out, then have that transcription sent over to an editor, and that person will rearrange and fix things up and switch things around. Boom, there's a book. Now, does the end user care about that? I don't care about that. I like her books. I don't care about that, because at the end of the day, that just told me how I can write my books. I can talk all day. And I actually do like writing, but sometimes I get stuck. And one good thing I do now is when I get stuck, I just talk. And so once in a while, after a while, I'll just say, okay, that was great. Let me talk about this. Let me talk about that. And then next thing I know, I have hours on hours on hours of audio that I can do the exact same thing. I can go and take it, get them all transcribed, have an editor look at them, edit them, change them around, or put them in good order, and then boom, I've got a book. Why not? And when I read the book, the great thing about it, which is actually a good thing for her brand, is when I read the book, I can hear her saying it, because she spoke this. It wasn't like, she wrote in some weird terminology or something, or like she wrote in a different voice than hers, which is possible when you write, because sometimes you can be trying to write formally. Like, I noticed that with myself. When I write, I don't write the same way that I speak. And if I want to create that Disney experience for somebody, it may be beneficial for me to speak the book, have someone transcribe it and put it in order for me, because that way someone can actually get the way that I speak. They can get that genuineness of my message out versus me typing. Because I don't type and I don't write the same way that I speak, if that makes sense. All right, so also not breaking character, being genuine, just like I said. Don't dump people after they've purchased your product. So have a follow-up way to get in contact with people once they finish your program. Don't have it to where you just let them go and you never see them again, or oh, thanks for buying my product, and you send them one thank you and that's it. Follow up with them when they buy your product. Get their email and have them check something that says, I'm now subscribing to the email list, so you keep in contact with them. And even if they don't, just maybe send them a few emails here and there and just say, hey, thanks for your purchase, and hey, I've got another offer for something. Maybe they'll stick around. Okay, don't spam them, but kind of keep in contact with people, offer something. Hey, would you like a strategy call since you bought this program or my book? Hey, I'll invite you to my Facebook group because I want to keep in contact with you and be community with you. Okay. The other thing is, welcome everybody. There's a degree that you can have of exclusivity. There's also a degree that you can have of, I forget the term. There's a way that you can have it where, like, there's a certain set of people that you're targeting, but there's also can be a way where you're kind of standoffish to some people. Fix that. Don't have it where, you are this highfalutin, good Lord, I'm speaking on my grandmother again. You're like this out of touch person, to where you are so high up on the cloud that they're admiring you, but you're not someone they can touch. Make sure that you still have a touching and connection with people. Surveys. What do you mean by surveys? Because I'm sorry, I kept talking and everything. I wasn't understanding what you were saying. Are you talking about the keeping the good guest experience of how people actually, that is a good thing if that's what you mean, Patricia. If you're talking about having surveys, that is great, because sometimes you can have someone go through your program or your, buy a product from you, and you can ask them, hey, what did you think? Do you mind giving me a testimony of what you felt? Like, if you didn't think it was the greatest thing, can you explain to me why, so that maybe I can be improved for the next course that I offer, or the next thing, like how easy, yes, exactly, product satisfaction survey. You can have a product satisfaction survey. It's like, how did you like this book? Like, was it beneficial to you? Were you able to get it done in the time? What were you able to achieve because of this course? Did you like the delivery of it? Did you like the timeliness of how soon from the time you bought it to the time it started, or the time you got it or delivered in your email? Would you like more interaction from me? Did I send you too many emails? Something like that. You can get some honest feedback from people, and that is actually a great idea. I think that's a good idea for when people work with you and purchase things from you, to get surveys. Also, sometimes it's good to have quizzes and things like that when people are initially starting with you. So that is one good point that is just going to be completely sidebar, because the last thing I have to say is you can actually ask people to, you can ask them questions before they even really kind of get an idea of who you are. For instance, Facebook groups. If you guys ever join any closed Facebook groups, you can actually see that sometimes they ask you questions. I actually joined a group today, and it said, what do you expect to get out of this group? Have you followed this person on Instagram or Facebook? What are you going to contribute to the group? What is it that you need the most help with in your business? Which actually is a great question for you to ask your prospects, because that kind of tells you what you should do. So for instance, you have a Facebook group, you help people with businesses, and like 60 out of 200 people told you that, hey, I need help with Canva. Or I need help with creating logos. Then if you know great places to get logos from, that might be a good class to have. And you don't have to have it as a paid content, but it could just be kind of a subject that, again, brings people back to you as the subject matter expert, which is actually my last point. And it brings people back to you for you being the plug. Okay, I'll just get into it. That's what I was going to say, was you want to provide sensational service and expertise, and you want to be the plug, their go-to, the source. So when you do surveys, when you do quizzes, things like that, you are improving. First of all, you are providing ways for your audience to engage with you. And then you are also allowing them to understand that you are not a people pleaser, but you are in tune with what they want, and that you are going to deliver on what they want. So for instance, if I'm having a struggle with getting ConvertKit to work, and I, as your audience, I'm asking you and asking you and asking you, hey, do you have anything on ConvertKit? Can you help me out? And you never address ConvertKit, then I am not going to, it's not, maybe I won't completely dump you completely, but I'm going to seek help elsewhere in trying to get my problem solved. So when you become the answer to people, like, I'm not saying you have to be messy. Make sure everything's kind of in tune. If you are, a tech person, don't all of a sudden think because people are saying, oh, I'm having problems focusing on whatever, that suddenly you need to pull away from being the tech person and you need to be the mindset guru. No. Stay in your lane, but do things that are relative to it. So maybe instead of being the mindset person, if people are having issues staying focused on the task, maybe you can find things like Asana and Trello and stuff like that that can keep them focused on the task of building their business. Something in your lane, right? But if maybe you're a mindset person and people are saying that, they're having issues with coming up with logos, you're the mindset person. I can't help you with logos if I'm a mindset person. And right now, honestly, in the moment, I can't really think of a way to tie that in. So maybe you can just say, hey, you know what? I know a great person online who helps people with logos. If you're having any issues with logos, I've seen a lot of you talking about that here in the comments. You can actually check this person out and maybe tag them in it, because if you tag them in it, maybe there's a collaboration somehow that you can work out. Okay, so that is all for tonight. Instagram is counting me down, so thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. This will be on replay for the next 24 hours, and tomorrow we're gonna have a little cool class. I'm not telling you what it is. It's just gonna be a nice, cool class. So I love you guys. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a good night. Bye.